Mavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let me poke that little box. So, does anyone know for sure which verse we're on? I think we were on 15. Is that correct?
No, we're on 10, I believe.
10. You sure, Mark?
Well, I write it down every week, so that's what
I trust you. I trust you. Okay. So we finished 10 or we're doing 10?
we're doing 10.
We're doing 10. Okay, sorry about that. So Vishwa is our chanter tonight. Nice and loudly because you're far away from the microphone.
Sure, Jim. I'll be reading the transliteration. Okay, chapter 8, verse 10.
Yes.
Okay. Prayana kame manas chalena bhaktaya yukta yoge balena chavya rupor madhye pranavesya samyak setam param parsuma paiti divyam.
That one's the double meter.
Yeah.
You did great.
Thank you.
Go
That's
ahead.
fine.
And the English, please.
Okay. The English, verse 10. At the time of death, with an unshaken mind full of devotion, by the power of yoga, fixing the whole prana, breath, between the two eyebrows, he, the seeker, reaches the supreme resplendent Purusha.
So Purusha means spirit. It's another name for the self. So the exoteric understanding of this is a yogi's conscious exit from the body at the time of death. Some yogis are able to discern, all right, my prarabdha karma, the karma of this body is over. So fixing the mind on the third eye and gathering all the prana there, out they go. Most yogis, it's not like that. Death comes in its various ways, just like it does for everybody else, with an exception. We talked about this last week, how at the time of death, whatever the thoughts are that you've built through your life become where your mind goes at the time of death. Now, the esoteric meaning of this verse is that it's about meditation. So when we say leaving the body, we mean when the aspirant enters into samadhi and has that deep experience that the self and me and Brahman, the ground of being, are the same. So with that in mind, would you please read the English again?
Yes, for verse 10, chapter 8. And I hope you all can hear me. I'm sitting far. Can everyone hear
Can
me?
people online hear Vishwa?
Yes, I can hear.
Great, okay.
At the time of death,
Meaning at the time of samadhi, when the ego dies. Going on.
with an unshaken mind full of devotion.
Okay, let's stop there. So the precondition is to bring the mind into this state where it's unshaken. When the flow of thoughts has come to an end. Swamiji used to say, when the last thought is thoughted, before the next thought starts thoughting, in the space between the thoughts, and all the attachments, all the identifications have been renounced and let go. Mind is just poised and still. It's not just from the neck up, also has to involve our emotional nature. All sense of struggle is gone. Here by devotion, not to some God out there, but you might say objectless love, prema. Everything is still. Then what happens? Going on, what's the next idea?
Okay. By the power of yoga, fixing the whole prana, breath, between the two eyebrows.
All right. So yoga means union. Here, some commentators will say through the practices which we've achieved through doing the 8 limbs of Raja Yoga, but we can simplify it as we did in our meditation before class. What is yoga? Union. Yoking mean the mind is yoked to the self. And when we say fixing the prana, fixing the attention between the brows on the third eye, it's more about single pointedness. All of our attention, all of our energies focused. Next idea.
He, the seeker, reaches the supreme resplendent Purusha.
Yes. So with the attentive faculty introverted, noticing the noticer. So this sense of individuality, what we call jiva bhavana, the attitude or feeling that I'm a person, needs to have the functioning mind in order to manifest. We frequently say, stop the mind and you stop the world. But you also stop that personal sense of self. So right here, mind tuned up. Listen to the traffic for a moment. Who hears it? What hears it? See, there's nothing there. It's this vast, empty space of pure awareness. The small self, the phony self, the counterfeit self just disappears. Something there is that remains. Round of being. Space of pure awareness. And we call it resplendent because it shines as pure awareness. It's not an it. It's not inert. It's me. It's myself. And I see that myself is not good, bad, tall, short, male, female, success, failure, issues, not issues. It's gone. There's that famous mantra, Gatte Gatte Param Gatte Varasam Gatte Bodhi Swaha. Gatte means gone. 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 Supremely gone beyond. Samgate. Bodhiswa, completely awake. Wow. It's my favorite translation of swa. Wow. All right. Any questions about this? It's a marvelous, marvelous shloka. And you see it has an exoteric meaning about the death of the body and an esoteric meaning. And again, let's review what dies. The meat lump. This body. Are you born or is the body born?
Body.
Grows up, grows old, gets sick, and falls down. Then we have what we call the subtle body. It's the one you run around in the dream state. So if you know of anybody who's had a near-death experience or an out-of-the-body experience, what is it that gets out of the body? That's not yourself. That's your subtle body. Yourself is like the space in the glass. The glass is like the physical body. The water in the glass is like the subtle body. But you are like the space. What happens if I break the glass? What happens to the space?
Nothing.
No. All the changes that have happened to you in this life, good and bad, traumatic or mundane, none of it has touched you. Any questions? Any thoughts? Number 11.
11. Do you mind if I move my laptop to the coffee table, Jim?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, number 11. Yadaksharam vedavido vanti vishanti yadyatyo vitaragha Yadi chanto brahmacharya charanti tatte padam sangrena pravaksaye. 11. That which is declared imperishable by the Veda knowers, that into which the self-controlled and desire-freed enter, that desiring for which brahmacharya is practiced, that goal I will declare to thee in brief.
So what is it that happens? Here, Krishna is footnoting the Vedas.
Mhm.
What is the thunderous message of the Upanishads? The thunderous message of all the Upanishads from all four Vedas can be summed up in four great utterances, the Mahavakyas. First one, Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is consciousness. Ultimate reality, which we call Brahman, is consciousness. Where is it? I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. Oh, okay. I gotta go find that self. You got a self that I can find? Maybe it's in a little box or on top of a mountain. I gotta go find the self. No. Tat Twamasi. You are that. Who sees the water glass? You. That's yourself. You don't get a new self. My problem is I superimpose on that constant, continuous, direct experience, all sorts of nonsense. So we got to get rid of the nonsense. Literally, the nonsense. Get rid of it. I am not the body. I'm not the prana. I'm not the mind. I'm not the intellect. I'm not the false ego sense. And what does the seeker realize? Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahman. Now, when we talk about merging into things, language falls short. So does the dreamer merge into the waker? Well, kind of yes and kind of no. All of a sudden, the dreamer's gone, and I'm no longer identified with the dreamer. I'm identified with the waker. So also, at the moment of realization, I thought I was a person. I thought I was individual. I am trying to get something or someplace. Then all of a sudden that individuality is gone. But something remains, the very substratum of the ego. Pure being, pure awareness. Don't believe me. Go there and find out. See whether or not it's true about you. This is the goal of the human life. This is the end of the spiritual journey. This is the river of life, merging finally with the ocean of pure being. Next verse.
12. सर्वद्वारिणि संयम्य मनोरिद्धि विरुध्य च मुद्यात्मन प्राणमस्थिलो योगाधराणमा.
All right. You're doing pretty good.
Thanks, Jones. Okay. 12. Having closed all the gates, having confined the mind in the heart, having fixed the life breath in the head, engaged in the practice of concentration.
So again, this can be seen as the yogi's conscious exit from the body. Swamiji did not have a conscious exit from the body. They wheeled him into the operating room. We're not really talking about it. We're talking about meditation. So with that in mind, let's peel each one of these ideas. First idea, please, Vishwa.
Having closed all the gates.
What are the gates? We talk about the 9-gated city of the body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The holes in the body. Meaning we withdraw from our sense perception. This is called uparati, sense withdrawal. Or in the Raja Yoga tradition, it's called pratyahara, sense withdrawal. Now, the key to effective sense withdrawal is not focusing on the senses, but concentration. This is the problem. Don't think about the elephant. Don't think about its massive trunk. Don't think about its big tusks, etc. That's like saying, I'm not going to pay attention to the traffic. I'm not going to pay any attention to that motorcycle that just went by. I'm going to ignore the loud truck. See, it's pointless. It won't work. Instead, let it be. No resistance. Focus our attention on self-inquiry. Go home. Who am I? So in Shankara's Vivekachudamani, he defines uparati, sense withdrawal. Then he goes on to say the best uparati is when the perception of the senses don't create any vrittis in the mind. So there are people who think, oh, I can't meditate, there's too much noise. I can't meditate because of this or that.
Or my body hurts.
Well, that makes it a little harder, but that's usually not what the issue is for a lot of people. So what the yogi wants to be able to do is tune that stuff out by concentrating within. Next idea.
Mm-hmm. Having confined the mind and the heart.
And the...
Having fixed the life breath in the head.
Yes. So the heart here, the Hridaya Chakra, the heart center, this was thought of as the seat of our individuality. And the reason being, most people say to exclude it. When someone says, point to yourself, they go, I'm me. They don't go, I'm me. Except Setu, he goes, I'm me.
Yeah.
He points to his shoulder.
He still does that.
But you also don't go, I'm me. You don't point at your head. So the ancients had the idea of the center of identity is in the heart. If you wish, you can pull your attention there and focus on the Hridaya chakra, the heart center. But that's a preliminary because you want to lose body awareness. Our spiritual heart is when the mind is completely free from all efforting, all struggle, and the intellect is completely quiet, and they merge. That merging of the quiet mind and the peaceful intellect is called the Hridaya, our spiritual heart. So the deeper meaning here is quieting all interior movement. Now, one of the things that some people have found useful is thinking of your energy coming out the top of your head, not getting stuck. So they're not confined to the body at all. That's all I'm going to say about this for tonight. This either will make sense or it won't. Next idea.
And the last part of that is engaged in the practice of concentration.
Yes. What do we concentrate on? What does the word mean? To bring to a center. What's the center of my life? The center of my being. One of the Hebrew Psalms says, "O Lord, you are the center of my life." What's the core of my being? Again, I am not the body. I am not the prana. I am not the feelings. I am not the thoughts. I'm not even the thought of self. Next verse.
13. Omikyeksharam Brahma. I'm sorry. Omikyeksharam Brahma Vyaharanam Manusmaram Yah Prayati Tyajanindam Sayati Paramam Gatim. 13. Uttering the one-syllabled Om, the symbol of Brahman, and remembering me, he who departs, leaving the body, attains the supreme goal.
So again, the exoteric meaning is this is what you do when the yogi consciously exits the body. But we're talking about it as meditation. So we utter the sound syllable Om. Om is a vibration. It's the sound syllable for ultimate reality. What does Om mean? Om does have a meaning.
The four states?
Hmm?
The four states?
Well, are they states?
I don't know what else to call it.
So Mandukya Upanishad says, all this is Om. All that is beyond all this is Om. Om is divided into Chatushpada, 4 feet, literally, 4 quarters. It's not the 4 quarters of like a cow. It's not 4 states. 4 subjects of discussion. The first, stands for the waking state.
Vaishvanara.
U stands for the dream state.
Tejasya.
Ma stands for the deep sleep state.
That's Prajna.
And the 4th, Turiya, is not another state. It is the awareness in which those 3 mind states occur. And when we stop them, it's what remains. So why I say it's not a state. You go from waking state, that is no longer available when you're in the dream state. When you're in the dream state, the waking state is not available. Deep sleep is not available. You go to deep sleep, waking is not available, dream is not available. But Turiya, the consciousness, is always there. Always there. Who knows the waking state? I do. If you have a dream, who knows it? I do. Who knows the deep sleep state? I do. Because in the morning I can say, oh, I must have slept so soundly, I don't remember a thing. So you must have been there to experience it. It's like this. If you close your eyes, are you blind or are you seeing the backside of your eyelid?
I've never thought of
The latter.
You got it. So if you close your eyes and you are seeing the backside of your eyelids, and I move the furniture around, you do not know. When you open your eyes, you can say, oh, I must have had my eyes shut. You moved all the furniture around. You see? But if you were blind, meaning if I think I'm unconscious in deep sleep, you would know if you had to get up and pee. You would know if the fireworks awakened you in the middle of the night. Three mind states and the awareness in which they all occur. The Chatushpada, the 4 quarters. So when you chant Om, you have to chant all 4 quarters. A, U, M, and silence. All 4. Now, understanding Om and the way to chant Om is also how we should chant every mantra.
Mm.
So if you're chanting Jai Shri Hanuman, Jai Shri Hanuman, Jai Shri Hanuman, Jai Shri Hanuman, let your mind stop. Always let your japa, your chanting of a mantra, be surrounded by silence. That's the fourth quarter of Om. So uttering the syllable Om, going on.
Uttering the syllable Om, then, which is the symbol of Brahman, and remembering me.
Yes. So where do you focus your attention? Remember, whenever Krishna says me, he's not talking about a God out there. He's talking about remembering the self, yourself. So by remembering, bringing your attention to that. Going on?
When remembering me, he who departs, leaving the body, attains the supreme goal.
Yes. So what does it mean to depart, leaving the body? What is the essence of the ego? The ego is a function in the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the subtlest part of the intellect, always identifying the self with the body. Something happens, your boss is a creep. How do you know he's a creep? I heard him say creepy things. The politics are terrible. How do you know it? I heard it on the news. The dog is barking too loud. How do I know it? I hear the dog barking too
Doesn't
loud.
like the fireworks.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
But all of my problems, all of my agitations, all come through the body and the mind and the intellect's reaction, interpretation of that sensory data. So here Krishna is saying, leave the body. Drop our identification with it and our concern for it. But even more importantly, it means drop any personal sense of self. Stay focused on that pure awareness, that ground of being, that space of consciousness. Let that counterfeit self just go. Realize, oh, aham brahmasmi, that last one of the Mahavaktas. Next one. What number are we on?
We are on 14.
Okay.
All right. 14. Ananye cheta satatam yo mama smarati nityasa tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yoginaha. 14. I am easily attainable by the ever steadfast yogi who constantly remembers me daily, not thinking of anything else, O Partha.
So, again, Krishna has said, I am easily attainable. One of the thoughts that keeps people from self-realization is they think, oh, it's so far away. It's so hard. I'm a worm and I have issues. I can't have that. Why, I just have terrible things. And then we have what I call false modesty. I'm just a worm. I'm just a vulgar person. Oh, yes, you are so great, Guruji, but oh, I'm just a terrible person, you know, I could never have that. That sankalpa will keep you out of it. You can have it. He says, easily attainable. Now, there's a price tag. The price tag is we have to want self-realization more than we want the world. Why do I want the world? Because I still believe there's real happiness and sorrow in the world. Meaning I have attachment, I have kama, craving, spriha, longing. I'm caught up in bhranti, delusion. How do I develop mature renunciation? This mature renunciation is called vairagya. That desire to give up all attachments to sense enjoyments. Not give up the sense enjoyments, give up the attachment to the sense enjoyments, sense experiences. There's nothing wrong with the world. And that desire to give up all identification with any form of self, from the body up to and including the form of Brahma, the creator. How do I do it? Viveka. Brahma satyam jagamityet yevam rupo vinishchayaha. Soyam nitya anitya vastu. Vivekaha samudahritaha. Brahma satyam jagan mitya. Brahman alone is real. The phenomenal world, the jagat, is mitya. At best, a conditioned reality, ultimately an illusion. Firm conviction, vinishchayaha, in the intellect. This is known as nitya, anitya vivekaha. Discrimination between the real and the unreal. What really is and what's counterfeit. We do it in two ways. First of all, microcosmically, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. I'm the witnessing consciousness. And with this world, ultimate reality is not the natural world. It comes about like a dream. It's not the thoughts and feelings or intuitions or channelings or any of that business. It's consciousness itself. Prajnanam Brahma. First Mahavakya. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Chandogya says, all this world is verily Brahma. Deep insight produces rational, reasonable renunciation. Let me give you a worldly example. We have Vishwa here. Mm-hmm. Vishwa has celiac disease. Mm-hmm. She's a silly actor. So, How long did it take you to realize that eating gluten gave you tummy aches?
25 years.
25 years. So what you had was lack of discrimination.
I was ignorant of it. I had no idea.
Same thing. When you finally went through the tests, you stopped eating this, you stopped eating that, blah, 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 blah. You found out that, you have a reaction to gluten.
Yep.
What's the next step?
Give up gluten.
Vairagya. Viveka, vairagya. That's the process. But if someone had said, oh, gluten is sinful, gluten is bad, only stupid people eat gluten. Yeah, but I like donuts. Don't tell anybody. You wouldn't have done it.
Right, exactly.
You had to discriminate. You had to see that eating the gluten caused the suffering. So also for the yogi, we need to see that our attachment to the world causes my suffering. My obsession about people, places, things, and conditions causes my suffering. Let it go. So mature vairagya is the result of insight, viveka. Once I can start to give up the world, the way the Master Jesus said, I am in the world, but not of it. There was a saying that Swami Tejamayananda used to say, the foolish person doesn't take life seriously, the intelligent person takes life seriously, but the wise person seriously doesn't take life seriously. Let it go. Then the rediscovery of my self-nature is easy. The precondition to steady wisdom is intense renunciation of the world. Any thoughts on this? Did you have one? You just scratched it.
I kind of have a funny story about this, actually.
Stories we'll deal with later.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next one.
15. Mamopetya punarjanma dukhalai masya sasvatam na punuvanti mahatmana sansiddhim paramam gataha. Having attained me, these Mahatmas, great souls, do not again take birth, which is the house of pain and is non-eternal, they having reached the highest perfection, moksha.
So, some people think that what happens is my ego somehow gets glued onto Krishna and I won't have to come back anymore. I can remember one particular student who was doing lots and lots of austerities and tapas. Why? Because I don't want to come back again. This is such a world of sorrow. Doesn't quite work that way. Listen very carefully. The exoteric understanding of that verse is based on the belief that you are born. So let's go to the dream state for a clear example. Do you incarnate into a dream? Are you in the dream or is the dream in you? Well, it feels like I'm in the dream. But what practice must the dreamer do to be freed from the dream?
Wake up.
Actually, the dreamer doesn't need to do anything. The mind wakes up and the dream is gone. And what does the waker realize? Oh, I never was in the dream in the first place. It was just vivid imagination. It seemed real, but it's not. So Vedanta thunders the doctrine of ajati. It's not that I was going through birth and death, and now I don't have to do that anymore. But at the moment of realization, you find you were never born in the first place. If the scriptures thunder that the self and Brahman are the same, Ayamatma Brahma. Brahman is an eternal, changeless reality, nitya. If it was once born and becomes immortal, then it changes. So you rediscover what you've always been. The dream never did touch me, the waker. I was never in the dream. I wasn't born into the dream. I didn't escape the dream. It was just a phenomenon of mind. So Vedanta does not, or Advaita Vedanta, our particular tradition, does not teach the doctrine of videho moksha, liberation beyond the body. You be a really, really good person, and after you die, you go to Brahmaloka, and then you get liberated. No. It says you be a jivan mukti. You attain liberation right here, right now, in this very body. So I invite you to take on this meditation. What if you were going to be in the body for the rest of eternity? How would you live?
Very carefully, because
Not
you're
at
going
all.
older.
You don't give a F. Two things. You live with immortality on one shoulder. Nothing's going to touch me. It's all going to be okay.
Wow.
And then you live, well, I better pay the rent.
Are you forever young too, or are you just getting older all the time? Because that would be really bad.
Well, but the point is, you are birthless and changeless and deathless. None of the forms touch you. Now, what is the nature of the body? Its form is always changing. And when the body drops off, who knows what will happen? But you get yourself to the point where you're at peace with whatever. The person who's willing to be here for the rest of eternity is the only one who doesn't have to be here. No attachments and no aversions. Now, from another viewpoint, the cause of reincarnation is gone. The body is essentially an instrument for garnering experience. I think having this experience is going to do something for me. That's why I am compelled to mock up a body. When self-realization happens, the desire for experience is gone. There's no need to have a piece of equipment to fulfill desires. So even from that viewpoint, gone. Now, various philosophers argue, is there something like an individuality that remains on the subtle plane of these Mahatmas? You know, people who say worship Shirdi Sai Baba. Is Shirdi Sai Baba still there in some subtle form? Is Swamiji still there in some subtle form? Is Krishna still there as some subtle form? That's way above my pay grade. Is it just my idea that I'm relating to? Or is there something there? Or is there any difference between that? But one thing I will absolutely guarantee for you, the self in you is eternal. Nitya. So again, it's not like your ego gets glued onto Krishna. You realize that you were never born in the first place. You are birthless and deathless. All right, next one.
16. Okay. Abrahma bhuvanalokaha punaravartino jurana mamupetya tu kunteya punarjanma na vidyate. 16. Worlds up to the world of Brahmaji are subject to rebirth, O Arjuna, but he who reaches me, O Kunteya, has no birth.
Yes. Punarjanma. Janma punaha. Being born again. So when we say the worlds up to and including the world of Brahma, the creator, Prajapati, all are subject to rebirth. So if when you die, you go to some loka. Loka means a world or people. It's like a vibrational level. The Tibetans call these bardos. Unlike the Christian notion where you eat for finite actions, you go have an infinite reward of heaven or an infinite punishment of hell. Whether you go to Swarga, some heaven realm, or you go to some hellish realm, they're temporary. And when you work out all the karmas from that lifetime, then you come back to the human realm. You come back to the human realm. That's where our yoga is done. So here, Krishna is saying that if you have in your mind still the belief, I'll be happy when, it'll be better if, well, this particular lifetime sucked. Maybe it would have been really better if I'd done X, Y, or Z. Did someone come in?
No, I don't think so.
Blind as a bat. Is someone sitting
No,
in
that's Sabu.
Oh, he came back. Blind old Jim. How long has he been here?
Are you sure
Time?
you're blind?
Has he been here the whole time?
No, I was out for a little bit.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I thought I saw you leave. Yeah. Anyway. He went to some Brahma Lok and came back.
That's right.
Born again in the satsang. So the idea here, of course, is you go to some loka and then impelled by your desires for other experiences, you come back. But let's take it out of that realm and talk about what is it that keeps us from being sthita prajna, having steady wisdom. So maybe in meditation you get very tuned up, very clear. Oh, I am that ground of being. And then you come back from meditation and you're serene and peaceful. And then you think about the asshole at work. I want him to behave differently, or why do they treat me this way? Or those people who are not behaving the way I want them to behave. And I want this career or that job or this house or that partner. And all of a sudden you are born again as an ego. You are once again an embodied self. But if you have given up those other gods, because that's what they are. Remember, I say take the word God, G-O-D, and add another O, G-O-O-D, good. What is my good? That's your God. G-O-O-D. See the second O? Go back to God. Meaning yourself. God, yourself. Make that the center of your life, the center of your desire, the center of your attention, doing everything for that. That person comes to me. Any thoughts on this? What do you do with your behavior? Just do your duty. Fulfill your responsibilities in the world, but don't take it seriously. Laugh at it. All your allotted doses of successes and failures, honor and dishonor. It's just the force of the past working itself out. Center your mind on the self. Tune in. Okay, next one.
17. Sahasrayugapara yantama aryata brahmano vidhu ratrim yugasarantam te oratra vidojanaha. 17. Those people who know the length of the day of Brahma, which ends in 1,000 yugas, and the night, which also ends in 1,000 yugas, they know day and night.
So here we're talking about what is the nature of this world and those who know this world. Knowing time and space. So you could know everything about this world. So the Vedas look at time as cyclic, not linear. There's the Big Bang and everything comes into being and expands and expands and expands, and there's some form of a big crunch. Maybe it just goes into something else, but then it starts over. In Yoga Vasishtha, there's a marvelous story about a crow named Bhushundi,
I love that story.
who is able to fly outside the universe when the ages come and go. And he says, oh, you're the sixth Vasishtha I've talked to. There's been 9 Krishnas and stuff like that, meaning the whole cycles of time have repeated themselves. So these cycles of time, here we call the day and the night of Brahma, the Creator. So the import of the verse is for those who focus on the phenomenal world. Swamiji used to call it the Einsteinian world of flux. The world of change. The world of time. They know that. But what is it that's outside of that? Outside of the Einsteinian world of time and space. What is it that's outside of my mind? The awareness that illumines it. All right, we'll do one more verse and then we'll quit.
$18. Avyaktadvaktaya savar prabhavantyagara ratriagame praliyante tatraivyakta sanyagnyake. The same 18. From the unmanifested, all the manifested proceed at the coming of the day. At the coming of the night, they dissolve verily in that alone, which is called the unmanifest.
Okay, I think we'll take that up again next week so that we can go very seriously into this idea of the avyaktaha, the unmanifest, the potentiality for all manifestation. And then microcosmically, what about me is this avyaktaha, this unmanifest, into which I go at the end of a day during the night. So we'll end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Guru Namaha Hari Om Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Jim.
Elliot, are you still with us?
I'm here. Hello.
Okay, if you want to hang a little bit afterward, we can talk a bit. How did you do with all this?